My mother has ruined my engagement and is on track to ruin my future marriage. 22 female, and my fiance, 24 male, just got engaged about 2 months ago after being together for a year before that. Since the very beginning of our relationship, it has been a constant uphill battle with my mother, 62 female. Now, it is to the point where my fiancé is outright refusing to have her at the wedding. Let me explain. After my now fiancé and I began dating, I began to tell my mom about him, since I was obviously excited about this new relationship. Some of her biggest gripes were that he's nothing more, in her mind, than a backwoods redneck, and essentially that I'm too good for him. But the biggest thing that has been the nail in the coffin is that him and his family used to be longtime Jehovah's Witnesses. Ever since I told her this, she has held on to it and used it as ammo in every single argument we have had. She asked me if my fiancé did any sports growing up. I told her no, it really wasn't his thing, and that he always just loved and enjoyed doing the dirt work or construction that he does now, and never took much of an interest in sports. She clutched her pearls at this because of course he hasn't done any sports, since he couldn't do anything that would put him around being people that weren't Jehovah's Witnesses. I know this is true within the religion, but this is not how they operated growing up, and they left the church when he was still relatively young. I've tried to explain this as not true, but she simply won't accept it. I was previously living in a major metropolitan city that I despised living in. After dating for almost a year, I moved to a small town that I had fallen in love with after consistently visiting every single weekend during that time frame because I never wanted to be where I was living. Ever since I've moved, and especially after I told her about our engagement, all she does is say that I've been sucked in. She's convinced I'm in a cult. She's also said she hates my ex-boyfriend who cheated on me to his guts because he did this to me and made me latch on to the first guy I could get after him. Since starting working post-college, I've found that I hate the field I ended up going into, which is fundraising. And I have been completely burnt out from doing it, and I have felt the pressure from being responsible for holding up an entire organization while having no direct experience with major fundraising before. I've expressed interest in living a more traditional way of life, like working a part-time job still relevant to my field instead of a full-time corporate gig, and spending more time in the home, since I have learned that cleaning, cooking, and decorating are all things I really enjoy doing in upkeeping a home, and just serving my fiancé overall. She says I'm on track to be the most controlled woman and is disappointed I'm not taking the corporate career route like she did and subject herself to misery for 20 years. She admitted a while back that she always envisioned I would move back down to where we were from, even after I had said many times I didn't want to put roots down where I was from because I wanted to find somewhere new and find a nice boy down there to settle down with. Since announcing our engagement, she has told me that me getting married young is her second worst nightmare. When I told her our initial wedding date, she asked why we were rushing it. I told her we just didn't feel the need to wait and were really excited about getting married. She grilled me and said I must be pregnant, and what happened to having a long engagement. She has generally said some pretty horrible and nasty things about my fiancé and his family, even though she has only met him for 3 hours at my college graduation and has never met his family. From conversation with a therapist I had before my fiancé and I started dating, she may have undiagnosed narcissistic personality disorder and/or borderline personality disorder. She was angry at us for not coming to visit this summer. We live 4.5 hours apart and had activities planned most weekends. And when I suggested we do so in the fall, since she brought it up, and I wanted her to feel like I recognized what she was bringing up, she told me it was already too late. This is roughly 4 or 5 months after we starting dating. She's told me many times in rages to have a nice life and to go enjoy being with my new family. When we weren't speaking a couple months back, she didn't even call to tell me my childhood dog of 16 years died because I didn't ask how the dog was. I never got a chance to say goodbye. Before this, she had previously called me at 12:30 a.m. after we hadn't been talking for a little bit to ask me to loan her a couple $1,000s because she had spent $10,000 at the casino. Later, she told me she was looking at the wrong account and should have never asked. All this to say, my fiancé hates her with a passion and ultimately hates the way she treats me and talks about him and his family. This brings us to now, where my fiancé has decided to postpone our wedding indefinitely, ultimately because of me and my mother, until I can learn the ability to stand up for myself / our relationship, as he calls it. When I told my mother the date, she said it was too soon and that she didn't want to do a shabby job, so she wouldn't help me with the wedding. I asked if we moved it back a couple weeks if she would, and she said yes. I ended up asking my fiancé if we could move it to accommodate for more availability from vendors. While this was true, after more prying, I told him that my mother had also suggested it and I wanted her to be a part of the wedding as well. My fiancé is mad that I broke our trust by not being forthcoming in the real reason why I suddenly wanted to move the date out of nowhere, for not standing up to my mom and letting her have her way over our wedding, and ultimately for letting her influence my thinking over our relationship. Ever since, we've been arguing pretty consistently. The entire thing has really got us just feeling sour and bitter about the whole wedding and engagement. He's admitted he feels some resentment towards me because none of this was his doing, and his heart still wants to marry me more than anything because he realized the impossible situation I'm in. But he also needs me to prove that I am willing and able to stand up to my mom for our relationship and that I'm going to be loyal to him, not to my mom. The conversation of us calling the whole thing up has come up some, and he said if we went that route he would help me however he needed to in making sure my bills were paid and helping me move somewhere else if I wanted to, since it is a small town here. My in-laws are absolutely incredible, and my mother-in-law is like my best friend and has been such a great support through all this with my own mom. We often go out to lunch together and just spend a lot of time together overall. Everyone is really rooting for us, but knows things are hard. I just feel so sick and anxious over this whole thing. My mom is my only family, since my dad left when I was 14 and my mom isn't close with any of her siblings and all my grandparents are gone. I have no idea what to do, and I really need advice and opinions above all else. How do I prove myself to my fiancé? How do I stick up to my mother, and how do I put our relationship first while still keeping a relationship with her? Can I salvage a relationship with both of them? My mom has made a lot of sacrifices for me, like being the parent that stayed when my dad left. But I also love my fiancé more than anything, and I hate the toll that this has taken on both of us. He said he's just been in a down mood in general. He shudders anytime people tell him congratulations about our engagement, because he just feels like the whole thing is overshadowed by sadness. I've been pretty tore up about the wedding being put off and told him it's hard for me to not cry when I put my ring most mornings. What should I do?
Comment below, and if you like stories like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button.